The Hillside Public Orchard is a food forest where a community works together to create abundance and beauty for people and pollinators. And it seems like even more so that section now is there's just a lot of like empty lots and nothing going on. So I feel like the beauty is even more appreciated now than it was 10 years ago. Thinking back to the story, maybe getting to know Michael Gabler and Kristen Stutchess, who now live in Iowa. They lived in the house across the street, and I don't know how we connected with them, but they were like, hey, we want to do something. It was just this, fenced empty lot that UDAC at the time was using basically for fire drills. And so it was like mostly fenced, and it was just like grass. They mowed the grass and there was nothing there. And we're like, we, wanted to do something to beautify the neighborhood. And Kristen was the one that kind of started the grant writing process and approached UDAC about transforming that space. I don't know why we decided orchard versus like traditional community garden plot. I don't remember exactly why an orchard, but just the idea there was, there was the Duluth Community Garden Program at the time, but not, any other public spaces with just, fruit free for people. Yeah, there was like the grant money to get the trees, the supplies. We created, a really amazing butterfly garden, which, people think now are more trendy to call it a pollinator garden, but then it was like everybody wanted a butterfly garden sort of thing. And just had signs around the neighborhood, advertised, Facebook, and, invited other neighbors that wanted to be a part of beautifying that corner, that rather busy corner. We did murals, because we had asparagus growing on the inside and blueberries, and it got so much road salt and just gross stuff. So we had these canvas murals that I work at the deck and rescued old banners, and I think we painted stuff on one side, and the other side said advertised the curling competition or something. But that was a fun because that you could see all year round or throughout the winter when it was just kind of a ugly corner. And I kind of remember trying to figure out what the Hillside Public Orchard space was in the past, because we were having a hard time with some of the fruit trees growing. And we learned that it had been a playground. Next, there was that space had been like a grocery store or something.
Where you died?
Yeah, like some sort of a grocery store, I think. But there was maybe the parking lot or playground. So we had grass, but then you dug so deep and there was blacktop. And that was why a lot of the trees weren't doing well. But I remember trying to go to the library and, find old pictures of what exactly, or a map, and never really got anywhere because we were struggling with some of the trees not growing. I think we just dug deeper, or just some of them didn't survive. And then, we'd have these regular work parties and we'd have 5 people show up, and other days we'd have 25 people show up. It just kind of, varied on what we were doing. We'd always have food. I like to be the one to kind of provide the hospitality and the snacks. And, Jen had the know-how as far as the planning the butterfly garden area. I was thinking, it's probably covered now. There were these big stone, a bench. There's a couple different spots, and those came from some guy down on Park Point who has an architectural salvage business. And he, Kristen had a connection. He showed up one day with a crane and everything and donated those sort of thing. They're probably covered by plants. But in the same sense, it was hard to get regular help. It was a lot of work at the time. Before UDAC sold, it was they would mow the lawn at least, because that was a big part of the upkeep, was just trying to keep up with the lawn mowing. And you could only, we had a push mower at the time. I'd bring the electric weed whipper over, but we couldn't keep up with the lawn mowing and weeding and stuff. We, over the years, had pretty regular a plant sale, or we'd have regular planting parties and potlucks sort of thing. That was always a fun to have a potluck and just hang out and do stuff. And then the other regular thing we would do would be the cider press. We had a community cider press where we would use some of the apples there and invite people in the neighborhood to bring apples, and we'd all hang out and make cider and have a potluck, play games. And then What's the butterfly plant sale? That was kind of the main fundraiser, other than the grants. And the garden along the edge of the parking lot was originally designed as a butterfly or pollinator garden, and still has a lot of plants in it. But we would dig up the little babies and then pot them up and sell them. We had before that sign was there. It was like I think I still have the key. It was like a locked like bulletin board sort of thing, and we would put up, events. There's those two little free libraries that are there. Jay Newcomb, if you know him, he made the really fancy one. Jay and Mary B. Newcomb are also longtime Hillside residents. I would say, like, as far as the organizing, it was probably myself, my partner Jen, Michael and Kristen, Melanie a little bit towards she didn't live in the neighborhood right away, but once she moved, she helped. Kristen and Michael were Quakers, and I feel like that's kind of a lot of like the Quaker mentality of like, but then nobody's in charge, but then somebody has to be in charge. You can't just hope that somebody's going to water the plants. I would say maybe like 2018, 2019, maybe. I'd have to think back of when Kristen and Michael moved, and just, we got busy, and it was hard to be the sole organizer and, keep up with stuff. I think just people knowing about that space, and like that it was open for everybody, that anybody, you would show up like, oh, somebody's picked something, or I don't remember, somebody's coming to harvest the rhubarb, or, but it was just the whole idea that it wasn't anybody's, it was everybody's, which just seemed like a cool thing for the neighborhood.